ServiceNow ITOM. In our ServiceNow ITOM, we will start with a discovery. So discovery. So now onwards, we'll start with a discovery. Previously, we discussed about the mid servers and mid server installations and their capabilities and everything we discussed. Now onwards, we'll start with a discovery. Okay, so what is discovery? We'll discuss in detail in today's session, right? So what is ServiceNow discovery? Is a big question is actually, so what is a discovery? Mid server means we already know that is a like a server. So we need to just install the servers in our local machines or anywhere. So we can do some activities with a mid servers. Okay, everything will be fine. So but what is a discovery? Is a in our ServiceNow side, what is a discovery we need to discuss? So ServiceNow discovery is a tool that helps organizations automate the discovery and mapping of IT infrastructure and services across their network. So simple. So discovery means in our general language, for example, I need to discover something. I need to just set something. Is it right or not? So same as is in our organization. For example, I'm ready to maintain one organization. In that organization, I have the different type of IT infrastructures that are there. IT infrastructures is nothing but like a servers, like a databases, like a any routers, so printers, different type of all kind of IT related infrastructures will be there. So that related information I need to fetch. So how can we just fetch? For example, I have the 10 printers are there in my business. So the 10 printers are in a different type of locations. So I need to find out the data from that printer. If that printer is working fine or not, any problems are there, everything I need to find out. That's why we need to use the discovery is a tool. Okay, so this tool is ready to just find out the data from our IT network or IT infrastructure. So it enables organizations to create a comprehensive real-time map of their IT environment. Okay, so for example, I'll discuss in a general scenario. See, if I need to find out my address, for example, I need to go somewhere. So previously, what we had, for example, if I don't know any address of the person, for example, some famous people are there. So the famous area is there. I don't know where is it. So simply I need to inquire some other people and then I'll reach to that area. But nowadays, so we are using the technology. Is it right or not? So we are using the technology. We can use the mapping. So maps. So in a Google Maps or something we can utilize and we are ready to find out the exact location and where is the way and how much distance from our place. Each and everything is a clear-cut picture we'll ready to get from the mapping. So same as is by using the discovery also, we can easy to make a map. So in a IT environment, so what kind of the printers, for example, printer example. So if any printer is there means what is the health condition of the printer and as well as so how much of dependencies are there. Each and everything by using the discovery we can fetch the details and we can get each and everything and we can store somewhere and including the physical and virtual servers also. For example, I need to just find out the physical servers or physical entries. So any, for example, like just what I said, the example is a printer. So the printer is a physical quantity, right? So physical or otherwise virtual servers also like AWS servers, like a Tomcat machines and different type of servers are there. So that servers information also we need to fetch and like a databases information we need to fetch by using the network devices just like a routers, any kind of the different type of network devices and applications also. So if any applications, so different type of applications are there. These are all can be coming under to the discovery, can try to find out. Okay, so that is a major use case and use of the discovery. So ServiceNow discovery uses a combination of a active and passive techniques. So we have the two techniques are there to find out the different type of data from the different type of the applications like applications or servers, whatever it may be. So we have what is that active and passive technique. So what is the active and passive techniques? To gather the data about the devices and services on the network. So active discovery involves sending probes or requests to devices on the network to gather information about them. So got it? So simple. So active discovery is nothing but, so active discovery, in that area of active discovery, the service now discovery can write to send a probe. Send a probe is nothing but, that is a probe. I will discuss in a next slide what is meant by probes and everything. So it can write a send a probe, or otherwise send a request to the device. So for the getting that information, what kind of the network area, and for example, if for example a router is there, so these probes are ready to send to the network, what is it, routers, then automatically it can try to fetch the data, it can give the information to that particular discovery area. So these are the relation will form a active discovery. In an active discovery directly, so requesting to the particular router. That's it. And well, passive discovery involves monitoring network traffic to identify devices and services. So again, another one is also there, that is a passive so discovery. Active means directly it will send a request and it will gather the information. That's it. But now what I'm going to say, that if it is a in a passive discovery, the passive discovery means it cannot be asked any information. It can monitor that monitor the devices and write to traffic, and how that network devices can write to work in that particular network. Each and everything it can write to monitor. If any problem will occur, then automatically it can raise a ticket, or otherwise it can write to store somewhere like a threads or something. Okay, so that's the reason. So we have the active and passive discovery techniques are there. Now we'll go for that. So the data collected by ServiceNow Discovery used to populate a ServiceNow configuration management database. Okay, so I'll say that now we are discussing about the discovery is sending some requesting some to particular networking devices. So if any information will try to get from the networking devices, we'll get it. Okay, fine. So in this area, you can see that, so we are losing that where we are right to store that information, gathering information. For example, we gathered different type of network so infrastructure materials are there. We need to gather, we already gathered some information. So where we can store, so it can be stored, ready to store in a configuration management database. So that is a short form is a CMDB, configuration so management database. So this is a table. It can write to store the discovery information. So the which discovery can write to run on a different type of on infrastructures, and as well as it can write to fetch the data. It can write to store in a CMDB table. Okay. So which serves as a single source of truth for IT infrastructure and services. So what does that means? The CMDB table is nothing but it can try to store the IT infrastructure related information and as well as the services also. Okay. So this enables organizations to track the changes and dependencies between the IT companies. So identify the potential issues and improve their overall IT service management. So in a ITSM side, so what kind of the capabilities are there? Everything will be same as is in our CMDB also. So configuration management database. So everything will be right to fetch the details from this discovery. The discovery can try to get the data from the third party applications or otherwise servers or something, IT infrastructure. It can try to store in our CMDB table. Okay, fine. And overall, ServiceNow Discovery helps organizations to gain a great visibility into their IT infrastructure and services, reduce manual efforts, and improve the accuracy of their CMDB. Simple. So overall, clear picture is we are ready to reduce the manual efforts. That is very important, because, for example, why we are ready to use the discovery instead of that ITSM. Previously, we discussed about that ITSM, everything will be fine. So in a everything will be, for example, I need to raise a ticket. For example, my laptop is not working, so I need to raise a ticket. Okay, so manually we can raise a ticket to the particular ServiceNow site. Is it right or not? But now in our ITOM, in a discovery especially, so where we are just using the discovery means simple. It's a automated. So if any device, for example, laptop is not working properly, then automatically, so that discovery can try to fetch the details from the laptop, and then automatically it can try to raise a ticket instead of our manual. Okay. So instead of our manual efforts, that's why this is a main use case. If any interview questions are anywhere, they may ask that why we need to use a discovery instead of that ITSM side or something. Okay, so simple. We can say that we are ready to reduce the manual efforts. So it is an automated session. So the business owners are ready to just they're ready to just use this ITOMs like a discovery means it can try to search each and everything. What is the health conditions of our IT infrastructure? Everything it will try to see. Okay. And it finds the computers, servers, printers, and variety of IP enabled devices. For example, if I need to give an IP enabled device, so I given some device with a IP range. So then it can try to fetch the details and it can try to store that information in a CMDB. So configuration management database table. So in a like in our ITSM side, what we call that each and everything, each and every request or each and everything will be stored in a incident table. Is it right or not? So as a records. But now in our CMDB table, it can try to store as a CI. CI is nothing but is a record. So configuration item. So CI is full form is nothing but it is a configuration item. This configuration items are ready to stored in a CMDB table. Okay. Now we'll go for, so we have the two type of techniques are there, discovery techniques. Okay. So this is not a physical one. It's like a technique. So we'll discuss, right? So there are two types of discoveries are there. So what are the discovery? The first one is a horizontal discovery and another one is a top-down discovery. Okay. So now first of all, we'll go with a horizontal discovery. What does mean by horizontal discovery? So horizontal discovery is a technique that discovery uses to scan your network, find computers and devices, and then populate the CMDB with the CIs it finds. So simple. So what I'm going to say that horizontal discovery is not a physical entity. It's not a application or anything. So it is a technique. Okay. So that is a technique we can use in our discovery. Horizontal discovery, it uses to scan our network like a finding of a computers, any devices, anything. So, and directly after getting the related information, then it can write to store in a CMDB table as a CI, configuration items, right? Horizontal discovery creates a direct relationship between the CIs. See here. So this is very important. So this horizontal discovery, it creates a direct relationship between a CI. CI is nothing but, for example, so in a computer is there. So it can try to find out the relationship and it can try to make a relationship between the CIs. Okay. So such as a runtime relationship between an application CI and the actual computer CI that it runs on. For example, so one computer is there. So that computer is related to any particular devices. So each and everything, it can be make a relationship, that is a CI relationship we can make. So configuration items with between the configuration items, it can make a relationship and it can try to run. Okay. So for example, horizontal discovery is not aware of business services and does not create a relationship between the CIs based on the business service they are in. Is nothing but simple. So if, for example, we don't know, we don't have any awareness or about the particular horizontal discovery, so we cannot make a relationship between a CIs. So one CI is related to another CI, and so each and everything. For example, any router is there. The router is related to the particular any computer, any devices, right? So if you don't have any relationship between the CIs, then so we don't have any knowledge to make it as a relationship, and as well as we are just like a blind. So we don't have any knowledge on that making of a relationship. That's why this horizontal discovery technique is used to make it as a relationship between the CIs. And this is a first one, horizontal discovery. And top-down discovery is also there. So what is meant by top-down discovery? Top-down discovery is a technique. It is also technique. It is also not it's not a application, or it is not for any other physical entities, right? So it is also technique, and it service mapping uses to find and maps CIs and that are part of business services such as an email services. Simple example they given email services. For example, you can see So physical entities means just now what I said, in a physical entities, any physical kind of like a routers, printers, like a any computers, laptops are there. These are all are physical. So that's why. So it can try to find out a direct relationship between a CIs means in a horizontal discovery we discussed. But now what does that means? Top-down discovery means it's not a physical one. Any services. Business services is nothing but like a providing email services, example, or any data transfer services are there, any kind of like a maps. So we are just try to use a technique, find the maps means, for example, like in a workflow how it be written. So in a workflow, for example, in a first condition will satisfy, then automatically one email has to trigger. So then after that, so some values will try to trigger this. So each and everything will have mapping area. So each and everything like a dependent or mapping area we can easy to show. So that kind of the technique is useful in our top-down discovery. In example also we given, once you see, top-down discovery can map a website business service by showing the relationships between an Apache Tomcat web server service. For example, so we are just finding the relationship between, so servers are transferring the data. Okay, so web servers are there. So we can use the web server, we can get the data from the servers like a third party servers or anything. Yes, a Windows servers is there, and MS SQL database is also there, and it can store the data for the business services. So we are right to just store the data as per our business services. So typically service mapping and discovery work together to run horizontal discovery first to find the CIs, and then top-down discovery is to establish the relationship between the business services that you need to know. So these two lines are very important because so it can easy to identify. So what is the techniques we can follow in our discovery? So we have the two kind of techniques now. So one is a horizontal discovery and as well as so top-down discovery. So first of all, in our discovery, we'll use the first horizontal discovery to find the CIs. So configuration items we can find it. Then after the top-down discovery to establish between a CIs, the relationship we can make it and we can get the data. So that's the reason we can use this kind of the discoveries. Okay. So most of the people in our interviews, they may ask about that what kind of the techniques are using in our discovery. So we have horizontal and top-down discoveries like this. And now we'll go for the discovery components also there. So what are the components? So these are the total say details. After that, after completion of this explanation, I'll show that where it will be. Okay. So discovery uses the components. So to find the CIs. So we are using the different type of components to finding of your CIs. For example, so three kind of the components are there. One is a probes and another one is a sensors and another one is a patterns. So we have the three. So two are in a one category and third one patterns is another category. I'll explain. So why? So what is that? See, probes and sensors are there. Probes and sensors is nothing but, so it is a scripts that collect and process data on a host and then update the CFDB. Simple in a one-line statement. What does it means? Probes and sensors both are in a scripting language, scripts. So that collect and process the data on a host and then update the CMDB table. So for example, in a CMDB table, I need to find out any kind of the data. So probes we created and sensors we created. So we are ready to fetch the data as per our scripting. What I given, for example, one probe has created. Just I will show that in a practical manner. So where it will be the probe and sensors are there. So I'll go with him. So service now. Okay. So like I simply I'll type there is a probes. See, the probes are there, discovery, in our discovery, the probes are there, and see, simply I'll click the probes. You can see that these are all our predefined probes are there. Already it's a defined. So see that ECCQ topic is a SSH commands are there, multi probes are there. These are all our different type of already written probes are there. Like a AIX identify. This is a one probe. So once you just click on this probe, already installed one. Sorry, already created one, not for the install. See here. See here, that is the name of the probe is nothing but AIX identify, and as well as the applications they given. And next one is a class. Classes are there. So we have the probe or otherwise multi probes are there. Different type of probes are there. AMI, sorry, WMI probes are there. SNMP probes are there. So we are using that simply multi probes. Okay, so I'll discuss in later in a details of a probes and sensor and everything, right? So just like example. Okay, so these are the probe can identify the, for example, we can use these probes to get the data from the particular application. Is it right or not? Okay, so test probe means we can test it. So which probe is right to identify? See, simply we can use this kind of the probes and sensors also. So where is the sensors? For example, see, sensor. See, discovery definition sensors also there. You can see that this is a commanding. So each and everything will be in a showing as a, for example, VMware standalone ESXi server. This is a one sensor we written with a JavaScript. Type is a JavaScript. See, new discovery sensor. So standalone ESX sensor. This is a script we written. Okay, as per the script we can find out the data. So from the applications like a servers, whatever it may be. Okay, so that's the reason in detail I'll discuss in our probes and sensors. See, more specifically, so probes explore or investigate CIs on your network. For example, if you use a probe, means it can try to explore about your CI, or otherwise it can try to investigate. What it may be, investigate or exploring your networking. For example, if any CI is there available, so you just try to in our network area, it can try to explore it. And sensors pass the data written from the probes. So what it returns, for example, one CI is identified with a probe, then that sensors can try to transfer the data so from the probe. For example, if any CI is just identified with a probe, so then it can try to transfer, it can try to just make it into a our CMDB CI, and it can try to just passing the data. And several probes and sensors are provided by default. So you can see the probes and sensor already by default it can already created. If you want to create them and if you want to customizing of your different type of information, you can create also. You can also configure several parameters to control the behavior of your particular probe every time it is triggered. So we can easy to identify each and every probe, each and every sensor, so can work in a different type of purpose. So you can make it and you can make changes in your scripting or something, so you can control the probes and sensors as per your requirement. Okay, so this is very important. You can just keep in your mind. See, probes and sensors mean simple. So these are the components. We can find out the data. For example, laptop data, laptop in a particular information only I need to find out. So that's why in this discovery area, we need to send a probe. Okay, so that probe is related to the particular, for example, like a email information only I need to fetch. So I need written already that email information, some details of a particular probe I already written in your script. So simply if can write it can write to fetch the data from the laptop, for example some router or something, whatever it may be. So then automatically what will happen, it can identify the CI. If the CI is identified, then sensor can try to pass the data. That's it. So these are the first one will execution will be probe, then after second execution will be a sensor. So these are the things we can use in our probes and sensor. Okay, so fine, everything will be fine. What about the patterns? We already know the probes and sensors. Probes are right to identify the CI and the sensors can right to pass the data from the CI. Okay, this is fine. Patterns is nothing but patterns also like probes and sensors. Patterns is also like a probes and sensor, but the series of operations that also collect data on a host, process it and update to the CMDB. So patterns also same as is like a probes and sensor can try to identify the CI, can try to fetch the details from the CI, and it can try to store as a So configuration items in our CMDB table. Fine. So patterns also same as like a probes and sensor. But what is the difference between these two? The patterns differ from probes and sensor in that they are written in a Nebula Discovery Language, NDL. So patterns is also like a sensors and probes, but the small difference is, so what does that means? The sensors and probes use the JavaScript, okay, to find out the different type of CIs. But now, so we are using in our patterns means NEL, sorry, NDL. So Nebula Discovery Language. So we will use the Nebula Discovery Language to find out the CIs, and so rather than the JavaScript. That's the reason. And they are called into the action in their latter stages of a horizontal discovery process. Some areas we need to use a NDL also. Okay, so that's area we can use the patterns. So default patterns also defined. So you want to customize your pattern, you can create your customized patterns, right? Okay, so I'll show where it will be the patterns, everything will be there. So for example, these are sensors and probes. We shown that patterns. See, so discovery patterns are there. You can click on discovery patterns. So these are the discovery patterns. It already predefined. See that it is a NDL. So if I'm right to just click on anything, for example, A10 load balancer is already written some kind of the like a probe or sensor type only. So here there is a loading pattern designer. So these are the pattern designer. It will try to show in a other type. That's it. So both are same as it is in your area. Say shared library, for example, AIX. You can see
Quick question.
like this. Yes, so
Hello.
discovery patterns are there like this, and here we can see that it's a language we use. There is a NDL in a patterns like this kind of the, see that grab NDL file from the mid server. We need to get the file from the mid server also. These are the basic information. So it already created it like a, so patterns like I see here.
Hello.
Yeah. Srinivas garu, tell me.
Yeah. Quick question. Yeah.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah. As we have a probes and sensors, right? So why we need again patterns? They are introduced in service now.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying that. See, while using any discovery, sometimes, so some organizations we can use that NDL. So Nebula Discovery Language they will use. So in that area, we can use the patterns. Okay, so all organizations are not to use this JavaScript. So sometimes they have a special category, they will use that NDL also. So in that area we can use the patterns to find out the data from the particular like a routers or anywhere. So we have option, that is our wish. Most probably all of the organizations are using that sensors and probes only, but there is a additional features also available in our patterns, like a patterns, so we can use. That's the reason.
Okay.
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 Yes. Fine. Okay. Now let's we see that these are the different type of patterns are there. These are already predefined patterns. So already created patterns are created, and it will be showing in our this like a demo data. So if we need to just see that pattern name is there, so this is a pattern. So there's already this written script, okay, and tracked files are there. If anything files, it can try to track by using the like a tracked one means we can use this one, or otherwise input parameters also there. If any input parameters we can use, and parameter orchestration. In an orchestration we can use this one. So I'll show at the time of so orchestration.